All right. Excuse me. All right, FiberArtists. Hey, it's Stacy Budge Camison with UrbanGypZ, and let me make sure I have my iPad turned down. Okay, so we don't get feedback. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another live cast here on YouTube. So today I'm going to talk about hand health. And this comes after I got a question in the collective. There was somebody, and I hear about this a lot. There was somebody who was having a little bit of hand pain from working on some felted patches. And this is common with, I think, all fiber artists, all people who knit, who crochet, who spin, weave, felting, everything. It's way more physical and hard on your body than you would think. Now, I know a lot of people who have moved to weaving because they find it a little easier on their hands and on their body. And I know that there can be shoulder issues. I know there also can be eyesight issues as you're trying to work like in small pieces. And also things like problems with your back. I know that especially warping this big loom that I was coming across some issues with my back. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about some of the things that I do to help with that. I've had my share of carpal tunnel issues, especially with hand spinning and with knitting and crocheting. Crocheting seems to be really bad because I think it's, flicking that wrist, whereas knitting, there's ergonomic ways that you can hold needles. I know that my first knitting teacher used to hold her needles in some kind of fashion that was, I can't even describe it, but it was almost like it was upright, and it was a way to kind of help relieve the injuries. Anyway, so yeah, carpal tunnel I think is the main problem that people tend to have. And just kind of that and arthritis. I think people do have arthritis, but there's a difference. Okay, carpal tunnel is the shortening of your nerve, and there's two types of carpal tunnel. It can affect, where these fingers go numb, from your middle finger back, or it can be these fingers that go numb to your front. And there's different things you can do to make sure that those nerves stay kind of straight. Because what happens is the nerve, something in the wrist or in the arm, and the nerve gets kind of pinched off and shortened because of the way you're holding things. Now, I know my husband, when he has to draw knife work, was causing carpal tunnel. So there's a lot of things that you can do. Now, some of the exercises, I know that if you look online, on YouTube, I'm sure you'll find exercises where you stretch your hand this way, and you hold it for longer than a few seconds. You stretch your hand this way, and then you can stretch your hand this way, and then you also stretch your hand this way. All right, all of that helps keep the nerve endings from shrinking and kind of keeps it from cutting off in the works there. Now, arthritis is a little different. The way I understand arthritis, it has to do with the changing of the tissue. And she was a court reporter, so she did a lot of typing. And the arthritis in her thumbs, she swore by some kind of rum-soaked raisin thing. She said helps with that. But there's, I don't know otherwise. There's, your doctor would be able to help you with stuff for arthritis. I know a lot of people have sworn by CBD oil. I mean, I've used some CBD oil on some arthritis. I have some hip pain, and some CBD cream, infused cream, really helped that a lot. I mean, within 20 minutes, it was amazing. Anyway, okay, so carpal tunnel. Also, what might be happening too, when you have some pain up here, is if it's the nerve pain, it's going to be connected to what's going on in your neck. And so if you're experiencing some chronic carpal tunnel, I've had great success going to a chiropractor. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but a chiropractor, she'll either adjust my neck, or she's even adjusted outright somewhere in my elbow and my wrists. And I worked on a computer since the early 90s, and every day I was a graphic designer, and a chiropractor has kept me from having carpal tunnel surgery. Anyway, that really helps. But yes, you also can do things. Now and this is something I do, if I feel my hands are getting kind of stiff, and it could be just muscle stiffness, not necessarily carpal tunnel issues. If my hands get stiff, and this is, I kind of stretch them out a good bit, and just really exaggerate the stretch of my fingers and kind of work my wrists. Now I used to do Middle Eastern dance, and this is an excellent exercise to keep your wrists limber. Just exaggerate those moves. And then you can go backwards, twinkle your hands, and I do that. And even if you're working on a big long project, doing that, stopping and doing that every 30 minutes. I mean, take breaks. I mean, I know I can get distracted and knit until the cows come home, but taking breaks really helps, and doing those stretches even in between, or even switching it up. Like I used to do when I do a lot of spinning, if I was starting to feel, a lot of times when I spin and I'm holding the roving, this way, or, with this hand, it's the action of curling these fingers under. So I want to do an action, maybe take a break and do something else that, that kind of gets that hand out of that same position. So that's mostly what it is that, it's a repetitive movement, or you get stiff when your hands are kind of doing this thing. So move to something else. Have, a couple of different things you could be working on. I mean, make some felted threads, to put into your weaving. Weave instead of knit, or spin instead of weave, and just kind of keep it going. I know with fiber art, there's usually a lot of supporting activities that you can do that keeps you within your work, but can kind of help with the issues that you might have. Again, shoulder issues are another thing. I know when I'm at the wheel, I'm like, spinning like this. Sometimes if you can make sure to sit upright. I know, weaving, I have this weaving bench, which looks like it would be uncomfortable as heck, but I've tried weaving with a regular chair and it's a nightmare. These benches are kind of suited to kind of sit you up so you're a little more forward when you're weaving. And so kind of pay attention to the ergonomics of how you're sitting and how you're working. They say that I saw an article that talked about how, they always say that, Americans have this sitting disease, but then they kind of somebody pointed out that these weavers in India, and they sit at a loom every day, but it's not that they're sitting hunched over like this. They're sitting like really upright and really paying attention to keeping their back aligned. And a lot of times, things like, even if you're feeling pains down through here, a lot of times it has to do with something that's wrong, that's pinching a nerve up in your neck or in your shoulders, because it all cascades. Sometimes if I have hip pain, I might feel it up in my shoulder because my back is kind of skewing, and so as one edge is, it makes a little S, and so it's compressing another area. It kind of cascades stuff. So it's kind of good to keep track of that. Like I said, I swear by my chiropractor, but that's not necessarily everybody's cup of tea. I mean, cracking backs can be kind of scary, and I know cracking necks can be an issue. I know my brother had a doctor who warned against it because of something to do with his stroke, which is really scary. But there are chiropractors who also do like a gentle touch method, if that's something you prefer. It's really interesting because you think chiropractors are gonna, crack your back, but they do something where it just kind of does this touch thing, and it makes your body remember to align somehow. It's really interesting. I've also had really good luck with acupuncture, and that's another, again, it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but that has really helped with the needles. And the acupuncturists also have herbal stuff that they can add to to what they're doing with the needles, as well as they have this thing called cupping. And I actually got a set from Amazon of cups that I have used along my shoulders when they get really tight from doing a lot of work or tension. And I'll put a link to those down below. Those are really, I mean, it looks like it bruises you and it looks like you've been beat. But I know a lot of people have also talked about, as far as carpal tunnel and keeping your hands aligned, braces. They have the compression braces that you can get for your hands and your wrists. That will help if you're feeling some fatigue or pain, you know, from people who have good luck with those, those harder braces that you put on that kind of positions your hand kind of at an angle just a little bit. And that's for carpal tunnel. I know that Bruce's doctor had him get that when he was having some carpal tunnel issues, and those seem to work, but I have a hard time sleeping with anything on my hands like that. I don't know, it's just weird. I'm sorry. Anyway, but those are some of the things that you can do just to kind of, I think if the main thing is to try and keep the movements not as repetitive, stretch as much as you can, stretch your hands as much as you can, and take a lot of breaks, like every 30 minutes or so is really good. Again, if it's really super bad, then yeah, by all means go see your doctor. I mean, there could be something more going on that you need to know about, and I'm not trying to diagnose or cure anybody. This is just, you know, some things that I like to do to try and keep me from having to go and get surgery or pain medications and stuff like that, and just to kind of keep limber, because, you know, if we weren't able to do fiber art, then that's where it feels like it's kind of, oh my goodness, you know, then we're done. Oh my gosh, yeah. So another thing, like I said, a lot of people have written me and said that they found that weaving, even on a smaller loom, has been much easier on their hands and their body when they found they couldn't knit or crochet anymore. So, you know, kind of switching it up, even if it's just for a little while, might help. Anyway, I'm going to read some of these comments. Nurses use their hands to cup the backs of people with breathing issues. It's a different kind of cupping. Yes, that is a different kind of cupping. Yeah, this one is the one, I think traditionally in with the acupuncturists, they heat up the inside of these jars and stick it on your back, and it like sucks the skin up into the cup, almost like a big hickey. And the one I have it has this little contraption that you put on the back, and you pump it and it sucks the air out of it. And I don't know, what can I say? I don't know how it works, other than it brings the blood to the surface and the tissues, and it kind of, especially if you have like those adhesions, if you have like a lot of tension in your shoulders or in my hip, if it gets like, when it hurts, then it gets really tense. And that helps break up the tension a little bit to relieve it. You know, sometimes just a simple anti-inflammatory will do the trick, because a lot of times the pain has to do with inflammation. Again, I'm not trying to diagnose or treat anybody. This is just things that have helped me. Anyway, things that have helped me when it comes to trying to stay in good health, physical health, to be able to do some work. Anyway, yeah, and the eyes, my eyes have gotten so bad. I try to use readers whenever possible, you know, exercise those eyes. That's about it. Yeah, that, and trying to sit up straight with your back. As you can see, when I'm sitting here on this computer, you see me going up and down. I've got one of those exercise ball chairs. I had a traditional office chair, and a lot of times if I'm working at this table, I'll sit in this chair just because it helps my back stay in line. A regular office chair, I was having some really bad back pain, especially if I was working on video editing. So this chair helps a lot. Yay, good. What a great topic. TJ from Taos, Ski Valley, New Mexico. Oh, hey, TJ from Taos. I'm going to be in Taos, not this October, but next October. teaching on art journaling. Anyway, I'll have more information on that this summer. Yay. Hey, Sandy and Renee and Adriana and Epiphany London. Hey, everybody. All right, so that's what I've got. I'm going to put a couple of links in the bottom. I'll put one to those cupping and I'll put one to, I mentioned a CBD cream. There's one that I would probably recommend that I'll put a link down below. But, you know, the one that I've tried that I like, again, you know, it may work for you, it may not. I don't know. Anyway, but that's just, you know, things to consider because we want to be able to keep making art. So there you have it. All right, if there's not any more questions, I'm going to sign off. This is another short one. Just another reminder that the Wool Dreads class is going live a week from today. And Wool Dreads is something that I use a lot in my fiber art, in weaving and in some other projects. They're really a lot of fun. Anyway, but the class is going live a week from today, and I'll put a link in the show, in the description down below, as well as in the show notes. I think it's already in the show notes. But if you sign up before the 20th and use the code PRESALE, 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 you'll get 20% off of that class. So there you have it. All right, so that's it, and I will see you guys next week with the new class. Will go live, and we'll have a little party celebration for that. Anyway, all right, stay limber. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.